Welcome, everyone. My name is Jeff St. Laurent, and in 1 minute, I am going to bring on my awesome mentor coaching client. Before I do that, I record all these Tuesday live shows. I put them on my university at sellingcoaching.com. I help coaches transition to a full-time business. I have a lot of great resources there to help you on your way. If you want to start off right on the homepage, enter your name and email address. It's going to give you a great audio resource called Launching Your Coaching Business, the First 3 Vital Steps. Also put you in my email community, which I have a lot of great info that I share there on a regular basis. But for now, that's all I want to say because I have the great Dolly Stearns. So Dolly, welcome to the Tuesday Live Show.
Good morning.
So I'm excited to have you. And as I was sharing with people, in my email promoting this and everything, you came across me and I came across you. You came into my 14-day GoPro challenge back in April of 2020, believe it or not. Like it's a while ago, right?
Yes.
Not that long ago, right? So, and you ended up going through the GoPro challenge. And then after the GoPro challenge, I had my 5-month, my GoProElite group mentor coaching program, which you were like, let me think about this. I think this would be good for me. So I want to kind of share with people, like, obviously there's a snapshot of your business and we'll call it's been 6-7 months since then. But kind of like what you've done and what you've accomplished and what you've gone through in that snapshot of time, because I want people to start to understand like what's possible in a short amount of time, to kind of get their business moving. So if you can remember back, going back to GoPro challenge, and afterwards thinking of like, all right, am I going to work with this guy? I really want to continue on. Talk about kind of the place that you were in with your business as you were kind of going into that challenge and then afterwards, so people can get an idea of kind of where you were.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity, Jeff. So coming into just even that 14-day piece, it was kind of like, oh my gosh, I have all these options, opportunities, possibilities that I could do moving forward with my coaching business and creating awareness. And I really wasn't sure where to start. And I felt like social media and getting my face in front of people, especially considering the pandemic and how our normal ways of connecting and relating to people had been kind of changed. It was so refreshing to kind of have some direction going into that GoPro and just looking at like all the different ways that could be possible and picking one and moving forward with that to get some traction, right? So that was a huge benefit for me coming into the GoPro challenge and doing that 14 days.
Yeah. And so talk about now after the challenge is over, you push yourself out of your comfort zone. Talk about like what you thought about, what drove you really to do the mentoring with me, the 5-month mentoring program.
That's really such a great question. So with the 14 days, I was amazed at what I was able to accomplish in that time because you had such a, like, this is the next thing, this is the next thing, this is the next thing. And so I really appreciated that structure. And so that was one of the things that drew me to looking at that 5-month process that, oh my gosh, we would have a structure and I could create from there, but have the guidance of somebody who'd kind of been there, done that, so that I didn't get lost in my own wheels spinning and get lost in the possibilities. Because I think it's easy to do that, whether you're developing a coaching business or anything else. So to have somebody who really had something set up like yourself, that was exciting to me to be able to look at that and know that at the end, I would have something tangible and finished that I could really work with and have a great foundation to build more and build my competency and confidence from.
Yeah, definitely. So now we started off, right? So now we jumped in and the real work began. So talk about kind of, some of the things that we did, but more importantly, like what you went through, like your process, because I think that's the important thing is we could talk about like, all right, well, we're going to get a structure and, and talk about some of the logistics of it. But for each person, there's the real work involved. And
Yes.
It's a lot of the application of what we're teaching you, but then it's like what you have to go through internally in your world or how it all fits in.
Right.
So start to talk about a little bit of like, as we're starting to do the work, some of the things we did, but more importantly for you, what you had to go through, the challenges, et cetera.
Yes. So I think that I kind of flip-flopped between two different places where, oh my gosh, I could do all of these things here and they were all equally exciting. And then, oh my gosh, I'm stuck. I'm not moving because it's got to look a certain way, or I had this idea of what it needed to be. And so the thing that I really found most valuable, and even when I'm sharing with other people my experience with working with you, is that you really, even though we were in a intimate group setting, you really tailored it to each individual pace that was within the group for each person, and helping them overcome, whatever it was that was keeping them stuck from moving forward. And you were very direct, but you also acknowledged and validated that, we've got legitimate things going on, whether it was life things, pandemic things, it was getting caught up in our own idea of perfection. And so I appreciated that particular piece, that it was so much more personalized than I thought it was going to be. And I needed a little bit of hand holding. I mean, if I was going to be completely honest, because I didn't know what was going to be good enough. And you having that perspective of being on the other side of it really helped to kind of boost my confidence and go, it's okay, this is the next thing. So there were times where it was like, you kind of do that, the eek zoom. So there'd be zoom and then, oh, we come to a stop, and then, okay, let's go again, kind of a thing. So that was my own personal journey in that particular experience.
Yeah. And I think we found for you too, like, it's like, you need to have a plan, right?
I
If
love a
you don't
plan.
have a plan, like, you can get lost as anybody, right? And I think I remember the session we had where I talked about the astronauts, right? And it's like, if they came back and they didn't have their next mission plan, like, they go into this depression or this funk because, like, you just went to the moon. What do you do? Fold the laundry, and you're like, yes. So because you did some huge things over the course of the 5 months. I mean, the group really did. And talk about some of the things that you did, because I'm proud of you. And I hope we're always not, I don't think we're always as proud of ourselves as we should be or need to be, but I'm really proud of you. Like, talk about some of the things that you accomplished in that amount of time. Because if anything, for you to kind of be like, well, I did do a lot, but also for people to hear, like, when you're working at it, like, you can accomplish quite a bit in a small amount of time.
Yes. And where I was beginning is I really didn't have a whole lot set up. I mean, I knew that, I can bring my coaching expertise and experience and value to the table, but how do you get that message out to other people? So I really had nothing set up. So I looked at you as like my big resource for all of the things. So, getting the website set up, which isn't necessarily necessary to do coaching and get yourself out there, but it was something I felt was important. I've got an email campaign in place. So I'm super consistent with that, doing my Tuesday 10 every Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 minutes or less. And that was something that I remember starting that thinking, oh dear God, like, how am I going to commit to something and have content and make it good and all these different things? And so I've got that in place. I had a workshop series that I had people enrolled in, that I developed around the program that we were working in within that framework, and had people participate. I have new clients come out of that. And I'm continuing that work, my own personal, how I envision myself working with people. That idea has become not smaller, but just more refined in the process. So I really felt like I went from, I don't have anything, to, okay, I've got some very specific things that I'm doing, and how I want to work with and who I want to work with, that came out of not just in the process and then coming out of that. So a lot more clarity, I think, was the biggest thing. And with clarity, I think, comes confidence. And so that was something I felt like that would be a huge value for me. And now when I do my weekly, my Tuesday 10, there's so much joy and peace coming into that, because of the clarity and confidence of where I'm going, and knowing that this is the next step in the process. And that's definitely came out of the program and working with you.
Yeah. And I think that, like you're saying, like, so your weekly email, your Tuesday, your live show. And that's why we came on 5 minutes late today, because I invited you to this, and you're like, well, I do my live show at the same time as yours for 10 minutes. And I'm like, well, let's do it afterwards. So we came on, and it showed a testament to, like, your consistency with that. But it was interesting, like, you brought up, like, kind of your niche in a way, like your message. And it's, I think, really even coming into the 14-day challenge and even afterwards, that was a big thing for you, is like, what is my message and how do I convey that to people? And what was cool with the work is that we knew it, we got to it, and then we went a little further, and then you're like, oh my God, Jeff, I kind of know, but I don't know. Like, we evolved it along the way. And I correct me if I'm wrong, it feels like what you just said was, it's still evolving, it's narrower, and I feel more confident with it, but it's, I'm feeling better, but it's still evolving.
Yes.
Talk about that evolution, because I feel like that's probably, in the work that I've done, if I can summarize, the biggest hurdle for coaches is that message, their niche, who are they helping with what, that type of thing. So talk about your evolution with it and how you got through that.
Well, I think I speak for a lot of coaches when I say that we get excited about coaching. Like, a good coach can sit there and they can work with anybody from any industry, from any walk of life, from any experience. And so you get excited and you want to work with everybody because it's just so exciting and you can see the value, and most of us have experienced the value for ourselves. And what I've learned in the process with you is that if we can have a little bit more definition of, who we're working with and the message that we're bringing to the table, that it allows the people that are best suited, that we're going to be able to serve the best, to be able to hear us a little bit more clearly. So I went from like, okay, everybody, to going, all right, well, leaders and executives and entrepreneurs. And then the other piece that you brought into this is that my own experience and what I've done in other facets of my life, bringing that forward into the coaching piece to leverage, to support my confidence, and to really bring some additional value to the table. And I think sometimes, and this isn't exclusive to coaching, I think it's when you make any kind of transition from one industry to another, that sometimes we forget the value of what we have already experienced, and we forget to look for the pieces that are going to support us moving forward and how they've brought us to this place. So entrepreneurs, and particularly even with direct sales, is kind of a sweet spot for me. And so it was almost falling in love again with the value and remembering all that I have to bring to the table and the success that I've had in those other areas, and then using that to be able to allow the people that I want to work with to be able to hear me more clearly. And so I just appreciated, I think, in the process, the reminder. And I know it was several times you had to remind me, hey, you're coming to the table with tools, use them, kind of a thing, instead of thinking, oh my gosh, I'm creating this whole new thing, which means I'm starting from scratch. I'm not. And so I think that's an important thing for us as coaches to be reminded of, is that all of the things that have come before from all of our walks of life are contributing to what we have to bring to the table and who we can talk with moving forward.
Such a great point, because it's a great point for you. And I got goosebumps as you were talking about that, because it was so cool to hear you acknowledge that about yourself. Because I remember when very early on seeing you in the GoPro challenge, when you're doing the videos in there, and then when you're considering doing the program in our conversations, and seeing what you're putting out there for videos and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, you have all these elements, and you present well, and you're charismatic, and you spoke well. And even though you might not feel that way sometimes, you had a lot of training, with the stuff you've done within direct sales and things like that. And those are all tools, like you just said so eloquently, that you really build upon and you can leverage in this business. And I'm so glad you said it, to reiterate, for coaches to hear that is that, everything you've done to this point, whether you realize it or not, plays a role in your business if you recognize it as valuable.
Absolutely.
So I want to pull your website up here. Talk about yourself in terms of what you do, who you help, and we'll tell them about your program, just so people get an idea of kind of like what you're actually doing.
Well, it was interesting. So we just had Halloween, and I had another entrepreneur ask me, if you were a Halloween character, like which one would represent your business best? And I thought that was such a great question. It was so interesting to see what other people were listing. And I feel like I'm Glinda the Good Witch, where we are, you had the power in you all along. And so I feel like that was a message for me. And then also for the people that I support in moving forward with their business and their leadership and their entrepreneurship, because they have it within them. So my job as a coach is to really help them remember or rediscover, or even discover that, oh my gosh, I do have this to bring to the table in my own business, and help them align that up with the values that they have, so that they're working in peace and joy and harmony. And I know that sometimes people are like, oh, peace and joy and harmony, but seriously, especially for those of us who are the hyperachiever, where we're like, we're going to get it done, and we're going to make this happen. And we don't even stop to take a breath to go, am I really enjoying this experience? And I think that, it's, 10% of achievement time, and the other 90% is the getting there. And if we're only enjoying the 10%, that's 90% of the time that we are not enjoying. And so I think that for me, as I become clearer and clearer about who I'm helping and the direction that I personally want to go and how I want to support other people, it's to help them have this great experience along the way in whatever they're doing, and have the achievement as well. Like, I think sometimes there's this idea that you can't have both. It's either got to be really, really hard work so you can get to the achievement, or you can enjoy the journey, but you're going to be mediocre. And I think you can have both of those things. So that's where I step in and work with leaders and executives and entrepreneurs to help them have all of the things. Let's just have all of the things. So I'm Glinda the Good Witch.
That's a great way of saying it. And it's cool listening to you talk about it and how your message has evolved, even in like the last month and a half or so, whatever it's been since that program ended. Like, it's cool how you just, it rolls off the tip of your tongue. You're obviously energetic about it, and you're aligned with it, if I can say. Yeah. So definitely check out her website. I put up there, alignupcoaching.com. Anything on there in particular, like your course, your free resource that people might be drawn to, or that you're running now?
I think that the Energy Leadership Index is the biggest thing that I would be most excited to work with somebody with. I think it is the most amazing tool. And for those who aren't familiar with that, it really just kind of takes a look at, like, on a general day, like, where are we operating from? What are we experiencing? And then where that looks like on in those stressful moments, which, let's face it, we all have those. It's our perception of it. And so it kind of gives us this baseline, and then allows us to move forward from there and go, okay, well, how do you want to experience the journey? Where are the areas of opportunity? What are the places that trip you up, where you have this moment and you're like, oh my gosh, like, this is the worst thing ever. And then it sets the tone for the rest of your day, week, month, or year. And so I think it is really just the most valuable resource that I can offer anybody, even if they never did coaching with me after that, just to have this introspective look about how they're thinking about things, what's going on for them. And it's just a hugely valuable tool. So that would be a place that I would tell anybody, that's a wonderful place to start, no matter where you're at in your life, your career, your age, what you have going on. It's magical.